it's not our fault. Let me just say that. It's not your fault. How someone treats you is not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. Hi loves, welcome back to the Aphrodite podcast, where we talk about being unapologetically your authentic self. For today's episode, the topic is they're just not that into you. There's going to be 3 topics of discussion today, and for the first one, you do not think you are worthy of better. In today's dating market, it may seem as though it's hard to find a perfect match, if there's such thing as a perfect match. A lot of people have a skewed self-perception of themselves, whether that be insecurities that they've conjured up themselves or insecurities that they've been told growing up that is not adequate. In the end, it's definitely based on how you talk to yourself, and I know society makes it very hard for us to find self-love within ourselves. We're always looking at what's the next trend or what next thing I have to alter in order to fit in. That's such a horrible way to look at life, or to look at yourself and your life. You can't change what is God-given or what is genetics. So to be so hard on yourself because maybe you don't fit size 0, or you may think that your skin tone is not the right tone or your body's not shaped right, all of these views or perceptions that we have of what we should be looking like, it's rooted on the outside perception of which should be status quo. Life is so short, I always say this, to put so much meaning on other people's thoughts and what they think should be right, instead of just trusting yourself and choosing what you see as fit and right. Instead of determining that for yourself, putting that outwards is gonna do nothing but cause you more self-harm, and that reflects on who you choose as well. Not only is your inner dialogue gonna be rooted in self-hate and discouragement and disgust, it just doesn't help anyone except people who get to fill their pockets because you choose to spend your money on things to alter your appearance. And I'm not saying like makeup or cosmetic surgery is a bad thing. The reasons you do it is what is important. So you not thinking that you're worthy of someone treating you with respect, someone planning the dates, taking you out, having proper communication, all these things that you may consider of high value or importance to you, if you keep going back on your standards because you fear that no one will accept you for who you are, or no one will accept you as you come or as you are, it's very self-destructive, because then you project outwards what you feel inside. Those insecurities and those negative thoughts reflect to people who will treat you with disrespect. They'll try to see how rigid your standards are, and how much self-respect you have for yourself is going to reflect on your standards. It could also be that you are conditioned from your childhood to believe that you deserve crap. So a lot of the times with childhood trauma, it's about making difficult people be good to us, so we can recondition our mind of how we were raised up to be rewritten. We think because we were treated a bad way growing up that that's all we deserve, and because it's familiar to us, that's why some people will lower their standards and allow the disrespect, allow the cheating, allow the lying, because that's all they've ever known. And the first thing you have to do is definitely self-reflect and look inwards to that inner child that's scared and has their guards up, or maybe doesn't have their guards up and allows people to disrespect them. You have to take a moment to really look inward and ask yourself, what wasn't I given growing up? What is it that I'm looking for outwards that maybe I should have gotten growing up that I didn't? And not everyone comes from a perfect family, right? Everyone is living life for the first time, and your parents are bound to make mistakes. Doesn't mean that their mistakes are okay or that it's justifiable, but you definitely at some point have to take Look inwards and ask yourself, do I want to grow? Do I want to become someone better? Or do I want to keep allowing people to disrespect me because that's all I've ever known? It's so hard to realize that we're doing this, and especially if you're finding you're meeting the same person over and over again in different bodies. That is the universe or God or whatever higher power you may believe in. You are going to keep getting the same thing over and over again until you work on your inner thoughts and perceptions of yourself, and until you have respect and love and a sense of value of yourself, you're not gonna attract the right things into your life. Number 2, people who are at war with themselves cannot give you peace. And this kind of reflects into that first topic of childhood trauma as well. A lot of hurt people, and a lot of people don't want to take the time to look inward because it takes a lot of bravery and courage to sit in the discomfort and figure out why you feel the way you do, why you get anxious, or why you fear certain things, and not being so hard on yourself. These things that you have to unlearn can be so challenging. That's why some people will jump into new relationships after relationship after relationship, because they don't want to stop and take a second and hear their own thoughts or hear what their mind has to say. They just want to distract themselves, keep chasing that high, that dopamine of excitement and a honeymoon phase or honeymoon feelings that you get in a new relationship. A lot of people would rather chase that than acknowledge that, hey, maybe my parents did mess me up a bit, and I gotta take the time to reflect and see how that's reflecting in my life, or how that's dictating my actions on how I respond to disrespect or lies or manipulation. And a lot of the times we know someone is treating us wrong, but we choose to say because sometimes we don't want to start over. It's like, oh, I already invested 2 years, or I already invested a year, 8 months, whatever the length, maybe some people 10, 15 years. Time is the most precious thing that you could give someone in this generation or in this dating market. A lot of people are at war with themselves, and instead of healing those problems, they keep chronically dating and they keep hurting people over and over. And it's a cycle, like hurt people because this person did me this way. I'm never going to trust these people, or I'm never going to trust men, or I'm never going to trust women because I got cheated on. And it's not our fault. Let me just say that. It's not your fault. How someone treats you is not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. So you have to teach your mind how to take situations where people disrespect you and take that as redirection. Rejection is not always a bad thing. It's redirecting you from something or from someone that has no respect for your time or your needs. It's not if he wanted to, he would. It's if you wanted to, you would. If you wanted better, your standards would reflect that. But sometimes people are too scared to be alone, so you put the responsibility of change onto the other person, because then you don't have to do anything and you can stay in your comfort zone, in your lack of proper boundaries and respect for yourself, and you'll continue to let yourself get dogged out because I'm waiting for that person to finally treat me better, or I know that person has skin in them, so I'm going to stick it out and wait till they start treating me better. It's like, why wait until the other person does what it is you need when you could just go find someone that does it from the get-go? And this goes for guys as well. A lot of guys date without actually knowing what they want, and I feel like some guys may be comfortable with wasting a person's time because they don't know what they want. And when I say this, I mean, if you're talking to a girl and you see that she's not what it is you want in a long-term relationship or in a wife, but yet you still take advantage of the comfort she gives and the attention she may give you, or sex, because a lot of the time in this generation, a lot of stuff is physical. A lot of people go into things because they're like, oh, that looks good, I want that. They get there, they realize that it's not what they want, but then they still disrespect the person because they're like, why not? And that's definitely a self problem. You can't blame yourself for thinking someone was one thing and them turning out to be another. Guys have to have more intention with who they want to date and leave people that they don't want alone. And there are guys out there, or at least you have to know that there are good people out there, but because the majority is so polluted with people who are so insecure within themselves and have a lot of self-hate and insecurities and a lot of childhood trauma conditioning to believe that they can never find better or they deserve the disrespect, a lot of people won't take the time to grow because growing is uncomfortable. And again, I'm gonna go back to girls because it's just easier to talk about the girls, but I think it can be taken both ways. Like, it's just about having self-respect for yourself. If you're talking to a guy or a girl and they're not showing up how you want them to show up, you have to move on to the next thing because they're not mentally in the space to have a relationship and they're just entertaining the whole situation or going with the flow, as a lot of people say these days. There's no such thing as going with the flow. That just means they don't know what they want and they want the perks of you without having to commit to anything right off the bat, or ever, if that. You need to know what it is you want in your life, and that's why I think it's so important for people to have alone time. So maybe if you don't want to have your alone time and you're like, I can't do, that's a bigger problem. You should have time for yourself. And I'm not saying 3 months. If you can't have a year or two to yourself, that's a bigger issue. Not saying that you can't find someone in your healing phase, but do you even know who you are if you're in and out of relationships left and right? You have to know what your individuality is, and if you have no sense of that, you're gonna keep chasing people and living for people and then be so hurt when you're let down or disappointed or, you know, manipulated, cheated on, whatever the situation may be. It's because you haven't taken the time to show yourself that you're committed to yourself, that you have self-respect for yourself, that you are willing to take the time and be like, okay, that person has an issue, and let me take the time to recenter myself. What are my goals in life? What is it that I want for myself? What does self-respect look like? What does respect from someone else look like? All these things that a lot of people can't answer today these days. They just know that this person makes me feel warm, so I just want to be with this person because who wants to be alone? Like, that's such a big problem, and putting that responsibility on others to change instead of changing yourself. You can't tell people to act a certain way. People will do what they want to do. So it's really just like you're cheating yourself at the end of the day by doing that. You're telling yourself, through your actions, you're telling yourself that you don't love yourself, that you don't respect yourself, because you keep going back to the person that lied to you. You keep going back to the person that manipulates you and shifts blame and can't take accountability, or you keep going back to the person that breadcrumbs you, and you're like, oh, why won't they commit? It's been 6 months and we've been on like 2 dates. Like, you know, it's like, if it's not adding up and it's not making sense on what it is you want and need, and no one can tell you what you want and need. You have to know that. An inspiring person that I tell a lot of my girlfriends to listen to is a TikToker named KB. He gives the guy's perspective to girls who may not have concept of what disrespect is, or they refuse to see the disrespect. He makes it very blunt and puts it in your face. And I think it's important for people to sometimes hear that, because a lot of people are like, okay, then what is it that I should be looking for? How long should the talking stage be with a guy? And it's like, I feel like there's two things. There are people who are not healed. You may have a gut feeling or an intuition feeling where you know this person isn't putting in the effort that you need, or isn't speaking to you the way that you should be spoken to, or isn't taking you out on the dates that you want to go on, as many as you see fit to yourself. There's a lot of people that aren't healed, so you choose to stay with that. Then there's people who do the right thing and say the right words and be consistent, and yet 6-7 months down the line they still cheat, or they still lie, or they still manipulate. You could never figure out a person and what they're gonna do to you. All you could do is control how you respond, and I think that's mainly the big message that KB is trying to get. How you choose to respond is what's most important, because people are gonna do you however they want to do you. There's no timeline or strategic planning on how you're supposed to go about things. You're just supposed to do what is best for you and in your best interest. And I think that goes for guys as well. If a girl is leading you on and making you spend so much money and well, I don't know, get your money up, but if you're not in the place to date financially, or maybe you're wanting a person that isn't so big on finances, and there are people like that, you just gotta find the right puzzle piece that fits you. And that goes through trial and error, and how you respond to each situation will either put you 10 steps forward or 20 steps back. So a lot of us have to go on a self journey and really reflect on who we want to be. I feel like a lot of people don't even know who they want to be and what it is their goals are, or they're like, why think 5 years into the future when I don't even know what I'm gonna do in a week? Maybe that's something you should work on. Have goals that you want to achieve, and while you're achieving your goals, you'll meet people who align with you, and you'll meet better friends, meet better relationships, and just have a happier life in general. But people don't want to do the work. People do not want to do the self-reflection it takes to become a better person, better self-respect for themselves and others. People don't want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, then expect 15 years of your life to be wasted. Honestly, you can't be upset at the end of the day when you're 30, 40, still experiencing the same thing you were experiencing when you're 18. That is definitely a you problem. And if you have people in your life who also have toxic relationships, if you're not viewing how those people move and act and take that as, okay, let me not do that because I see how that played out for that person, in the sense of like, they keep going back to a person that's cheating on them, they keep going back to an abusive partner, which is an entirely different conversation, but I won't touch too much on that. It's definitely something that you have to look inwards in and be like, I deserve better. I deserve self-respect, commitment, communication. I deserve everything that it is that you desire. But if you don't give that to yourself, it will not be given to you, because you will not attract what you're not emitting from the inside. You have to be who you want. That's why I think it's always a good thing to kind of put yourself in the perspective of, okay, what is the person I'm going for? What is the type of person that I want to date, I want to marry? And list out what they achieve, what their routine is like, what their values are. Then take a look at yourself and put what your values are, what your routines are, and match it, right? Match the list and see how much aligns with what you're looking for. And if it doesn't align, then you have a lot of self-reflection to do. You can't want someone that is confident in who they are, goes after what they want, is loving, is caring, has all the good qualities, but you yourself are talking negatively to yourself, talking down on other people. You yourself aren't committing to the workout that you keep saying you're gonna do. You're not committing to the projects that you keep saying you want to try but don't try because you're scared of failure or you're scared of what other people may perceive. Fuck what other people think. Do they pay your bills? Are they putting the clothes on your back? I'm so confused as to why people care so much on what other people think. And I know it's conditioned, society that has conditioned this onto us, but I feel like instead of following sheep, why don't you be the black sheep? Be the one that acts different than all the negative people that are in your life and showing you the wrong ways about going things. Be the difference in the crowd that's flowing one way. You know what I mean? Take the narrow road. The only way you show yourself that you love yourself is by doing the work. And for my third and final topic, it's going to be the difference between right and wrong and reality. And I've definitely already touched on this on my other 2 points. I feel like they're all kind of connected, but everyone is raised to believe a certain thing, and then there's what reality teaches us. So you may be conditioned, maybe you have a good family and a good representation of love, then this video is not for you. But a good representation of love doesn't mean two people that are together, because two people can be together and still be very toxic for each other. You may think certain things are okay, like a lot of people stay when people lie to them, or some people stay when they get cheated on, and you'll say, oh, but I've spent 3 years of my life and I know he has a good heart, it was just a moment of weakness. Or you start making excuses for their bad behaviors. You can choose to stay with the beliefs that you already have and continue meeting the same people and different people, or staying with the same person that keeps doing the same disrespectful shit and expecting different change. That's literally the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing and expecting different results. It's like, hello, wake the fuck up. Like, reality is, people are gonna treat you how they want to treat you. Most people don't give a damn about you, but there are people, there's a plenty fish in the sea, like most people say, but there is a select group of people that will align with you, but there's a good bunch of people that will waste your time if you give them the time to be wasted. And they will have no remorse, no mercy, no fucks given about what your thoughts are. And yeah, they could lie. They could say, I do care about what you think, and I do care about your feelings, but do their actions show that? You have to stop believing in empty words, because people will lie out of their ass just to get what they want. That's how business works. That's how everything works in society. Like, people will try to convince you of their points and their views, but if you know yourself, you'll find the person that matches your views and your values, and you won't give time to the people who disrespect you. So this has definitely been a big fish to swallow, I know, and I say it all out of love. If you want growth and if you want change yourself. Stop trying to change other people. Stop putting that responsibility on other people to do better, to grow, to stop disrespecting you, and start respecting yourself. Because the more you go to people that disrespect you, the more you show yourself that you hate yourself. So stop doing that. I know it's easier said than done. It all comes down to how you respond to things sent to destroy your peace. Not everyone can be your peace, because not everyone has peace within them. So I think that's all for today's episode. This was a long one. I did not want to record this, but I'm glad I did. It was fun talking about these topics. Thank you for watching and hearing me ramble on about our shitty dating market. I hope to see you guys next Monday, and I'm happy for my 5 subscribers. I am so happy that you guys are here, and have a good day, have a good night, and remember to be unapologetically your authentic self. Bye!